We ready?
We are ready to go.
Okay. I'm gonna hit broadcast. and
Let's do it.
We'll get rolling.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, good morning, everybody. For those of you that are here with us, probably joining in the US, on the East Coast, I know Dr. Al's over there with us. It's 10 a.m. Pacific time or Eastern time. Here in San Diego, where I am, it's 7 a.m. Pacific time. So excuse me if I'm not fully awake. I do have my coffee though. And we are so grateful that you guys decided to spend some time with us on your weekend to learn more about how health coaches use functional lab testing to grow their business and get endless referrals. And we've got all kinds of juicy content ready for you guys today. And I want to be mindful of time so that we can all go and enjoy our weekend. So I am Jenn Malecha, business mentor for the FDN community and a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner myself. And joining me co-hosting today, I have Dr. Alan Weinstein, who is also an FDN practitioner himself and has been a longtime friend and business mentor for our community too. So how are you doing, Dr. Al, over there on the East Coast this morning?
I'm doing great. I am manning the YouTube. I'm manning the Facebook. I'm manning what we're doing together. I got a lot of things going on, just a couple of business things. Everyone here, as we said, this is really a training. We're not selling anything. I believe in the chat, Jen has a link. If you are not in FDN yet, then you want to know more about it. We're not taking any questions about that, but you can click on that link. And I've also put that link inside of the chat in Facebook and in YouTube, and you can click on it there because this, as I said, is really a training. As we said in some of the emails that you probably got, just for coming for 5 minutes, you will get the replay. So you will get that. And this is Jen, the last one we're doing for the week. And we've had like people coming on and on and on. And this is really amazing how many people keep coming back. And they really keep coming back for you. I'm just here manning the technology. You're the one with the brains behind this show. So they're going to learn a lot of amazing things. We have someone that just jumped on from South Africa, amazingly enough, and I won't even go to pronounce the name because I don't know where it looks like Asiza Nambasi or something like that. If I pronounce that wrong, I do apologize. But put your name in the chat, say hello, and we'll make sure we get it into the video for you. Okay,
Yes.
Jen, I'm ready.
All right, you guys, let's get rolling. So welcome everybody from Facebook, YouTube, and GoToWebinar. Let's jump in. And here's the information that we have to share with you today, what we're going to cover about lab testing. We're going to talk about why lab testing has been the key to making a career change, as it has been for me specifically. Prior to being a full-time FDN practitioner with a successful business, I was a personal trainer and working in corporate wellness, and functional lab testing was definitely the key to helping me make that transition into doing something that I am incredibly passionate about and making great money doing. And we're also going to talk about like how lab testing, why it increases your credibility and why you will feel more fulfilled at the end of the day. Because you guys, I have never had a job like this before that makes me feel so fulfilled at the end of the day. When I look at my career history, I basically got bored after doing whatever I was doing within 3 years. And I've been an FDN practitioner for 8 years at this, or 9 years almost at this point in time, and definitely not bored of it at all because the work is so fulfilling. We're going to talk about why functional lab testing gets clients' results better, faster, and easier, and then the best ways for you to go about accessing lab testing. So let's go ahead and dive in. And actually, the first thing that we want to address and talk about, though, is what's happening if you're not using lab testing. Now, we know a lot of you on the line with us are already FDN practitioners, but you may not be using the lab testing as you've been trained to do. And for those of you who aren't FDN practitioners yet, you're definitely not using lab testing. And when we're not using lab testing, you are not meeting the client's expectations and needs because you really are not able to look at the whole picture or the whole person without lab testing. Without lab testing, we cannot assess what we call metabolic chaos. And metabolic chaos is a term that Reed Davis coined. It's actually a registered trademark now, which is really the only one true diagnosis, as Reed talks about for us, because everything is a contributor to and a result of metabolic chaos, as we'll show you here in a couple of slides. And if we're not looking at the whole person, if we're not assessing metabolic chaos using lab testing, then you certainly are not creating a personalized health building plan. You are essentially taking a shot in the dark. You are guessing instead of testing. And as we say in FDN, we want to test, don't guess, basically. And that's what people are really searching for these days. They are tired of the, boxed diets or approaches to their health. And this picture that we have here is really a great depiction of this. Like, you have symptoms and lab values that kind of sit up on the surface, but there's all this stuff underneath that is going on. And so in order to really assess all of the things that are going on underneath the surface, we need to use functional lab testing to look at all these different factors and to assess metabolic chaos, essentially, so that we can identify what all the healing opportunities are, right, Dr. Al?
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to say one thing about number one on this slide, meeting client expectations and needs. It's always great to meet the client where they already lived. And there's not one potential client out there that has not been to some healthcare practitioner, whether it's an allopathic one or maybe even a different health coach than you. But they really have been pre-programmed to believe that you have to run a lab test for you to be able to help them with your challenge. They expect you to run a lab test. They're used to seeing a lab test. Some of them, if they've been to other healthcare practitioners before you, will bring you their lab test because they see lab tests as this objective evidence of what's going on inside of them. So it's critically important that you do labs. The second thing is that number two, looking at whole person picture. And really realize now that whether it be because of a pandemic or whatever it is, people now are more concerned with all the underlying health challenges that they have because they want to know, am I a high risk or a low risk person? Because ultimately they now believe, rightfully so, if they have a lot of things going on in their body, they're going to be high risk, which puts them at greater risk to have a serious reaction to something. So you just telling them that you think they have, oh, it sounds like you have a liver congestion or an adrenal problem or a thyroid problem, that's no longer what they want to hear. They want the whole picture, and through assessing metabolic chaos, you're the only person, and as we said, most of you are FDNers, you're the only health coach that has the tools to be able to assess a metabolic chaos. So important.
Yeah, and people don't die of COVID. They die from the underlying comorbidities that they have that haven't been addressed that are putting them at risk. And so
Totally.
this next picture really shows what that means exactly. And this just isn't COVID. This is really any condition that they might be suffering with or that they're coming to us with. Like Dr. Al said, whether, it's a thyroid issue that they've been told about before, or whether they're struggling with their weight and fat distribution, or whether they're struggling with something else. The body is a network of complex systems that are all working together. And so if somebody were to focus just on thyroid, for example, like you as a health coach or any other practitioners out there, then you're actually missing all of these other clues. You're like only looking at one thing. Like I remember Dr. Al Reed once said, that's like, a detective going into a murder scene and looking in the basement and the attic, but not looking in the living room, right? To find all of,
Right, there you go.
essentially. So metabolic chaos, like really want to reinforce this for our FDNs that are on the line, because, we talk so much about this in the training, and this is the premise for all of the work that we do. And this is why we run a series of lab tests also. Like, this is the difference in the FDN methodology. Anybody can run a lab test. But not everybody knows what to do with it. And not everybody's running a series of lab tests. I can't tell you how many clients have come through my virtual practice door and said that they have some lab tests, but they're not getting a series of lab tests to look at all of the different systems of the body like we, essentially do. So, because all of these things have a, inward and outward impact on the body. So you can see these double-headed arrows here. Like, if somebody has a true, genetic dysfunction of their thyroid, yes, that is certainly going to have an impact on the overall metabolic chaos picture. But then as a result of that, it's going to then downstream or domino affect all of these other systems of the body, and it's going to bounce back and also come back and, impact the thyroid function. So that's why, as FDNs, we want to run a series of lab tests to look at all the systems of the body, to use that objective data to put together that personalized health building program that's going to address diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, and supplementation that has a positive effect on every cell, tissue, bone, and organ in the body, that's going to restore balance to the body itself. Because we actually may never know what the root cause is. There's all this talk in the industry about get to the root cause, get to the root cause. Well, based on this picture right here, you never know what the root cause is, but we do know that we can have a positive effect upon it when we run these series of lab tests and we use that information to address lifestyle factors and coach up function in the body, right, Dr. Al?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Jen really said almost all of it. But what I want to say is, if someone presents to you with a symptom, let's say thyroid function, realize that that double-headed arrow that Jen mentioned triggers more metabolic chaos, and then the metabolic chaos affects carb metabolism, detox pathways, musculoskeletal, all the things you see. So the fact they have a thyroid symptom, that might be the end result of a carb metabolism problem. They might have a symptom where they're having a carb metabolism problem that could be triggered from anywhere else on this chart. So unless you focus on the middle of the chart, which is why it's in the middle, metabolic chaos, you don't really know what it is that you're really treating. But it doesn't matter, because if you affect metabolic chaos, you will change the client that you're working with. And realize one other thing is that if they've been to any other health coaches prior to you, the FDNer, what happens is someone's probably already said, oh, it sounds like you have a thyroid problem. And if you repeat the same thing that someone else said, there goes all your credibility out the window, because they think you're going to do the same thing that ultimately someone else already tried that might have failed.
Exactly. And I just want to pause here, Dr. Al, because I've noticed that there's been a lot of people that have joined on since we started the webinar just a few minutes ago. So I just want to make sure that everybody has the information. So as Dr. Al said earlier, as long as you're here for at least 5 minutes, you're going to get the replay here on GoToWebinar. For those of you that are on GoToWebinar, we're not answering any questions today. This is purely strictly a training. At the bottom of the GoToWebinar panel that you all logged into, if you have additional questions, there is information in the chat if you're a current student or graduate on how to access our support, or if you are an aspiring functional health professional or FDN, you can schedule a free career counseling session. There's a link there. So on the GoToWebinar panel that you are logged into, you can definitely should be able to see the chat section down there at the bottom where we have put those links out to everybody. And if you are joining us on Facebook or YouTube, if you put in the comments under the video that you're interested in more information, we can make sure to get you those links as well too, right, Dr. Al?
Yeah, actually, I put a link to the career counselors in the Facebook live stream and YouTube, and so they can click on those if they want. And again, if you are on Facebook and YouTube, which is, we're really probably the first health coaching program, FDN, that's ever simulcast a GoToWebinar on Facebook and YouTube. So make sure you tell us where you are watching from, because we want to know that. And we'll put you right on the screen so everyone knows where you are, so you'll get a little bit of recognition there.
Yeah. So let's go back to the importance of this lab testing that we're talking about. So as we were saying, in order to sort out metabolic chaos, we need to run a series of functional lab testing to look for what we call healing opportunities within the hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification, energy, and nervous system. So this is what we get trained on in the FDN course, is about these, different tests that are going to look at these different areas of the body to help us collect all of the clues and the objective data that we need in order to assess that metabolic chaos, and then to guide recommendations for diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, and supplementations. And this is one of the ways that we legally and ethically as health coaches actually run lab testing, is that we are not diagnosing anything. We are looking for correlations within the lab testing and using that objective data to guide recommendations and to educate our clients. As we say, as FDNs, we educate, we don't medicate.
I never heard that one before, Jen. That was pretty cool.
It's a good one. And all of this was built around Reed Davis, our founder of FDN, his over 20 years experience. I mean, I think it's probably been longer at this point in time in the industry. Reed, actually, the FDN as an organization or as a course was started back in 2008, I believe. And so we've been around for a really long time. But prior to that, Reed was working with the top leaders in alternative medicine, performing over tens of thousands of lab tests on people and observing who got better and who didn't and why that was. And based on all of that, like clinical experience and working with these top leaders, that's how the FDN methodology was developed. And Reed basically decided that, he wanted to be the last person that somebody needed to see in order to get better. And once he figured out how to do that, he realized that more people needed this information. And in order to do that, he couldn't do it alone. He wanted to deputize as many other health coaches as possible, or health professionals as possible, to go out and do this work to, as we say, fill the needs gap and end that cycle of trial and error that so many clients come to us feeling exhausted about. And Reed practically invented, what we think of as distance coaching or virtual coaching. I mean, Reed really invented health coaching before it was even called health coaching, because it's been around for so long. And Dr. Al, I know that you've been working with him for a long time. I think you took the course way back in some of those early days too.
Yeah, I actually took the course when it was only, I think, a weekend course live. It wasn't even online, which was amazing. But I want people to just really focus for 1 second on, he performed over 10,000 tests. You get information from 10,000 tests that nobody in the world has. So when you put a course together based on correlating all that information, guess what you learn? You learn that the only thing that you could ever treat on a client is metabolic chaos. That's how that came about when you start looking at the results of 10,000 tests. So that's hugely, hugely powerful. You must assess metabolic chaos. And one other thing I want to say on the previous slide, you don't have to go back there. It says test, don't guess. And Jen said, don't run one test. She said, here are the tests, plural, that we run. A lot of you FDNers think, let me run one test and this way, that's all. No, you run all the tests. That's the beauty of FDN.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And actually, as a business mentor for the FDN communities, this is one of the things that I help you do once you go through the course, is how to put your packages together and how to price yourself accordingly, how to have the confidence to actually go out there and build value in the services that you offer, and how to present, a package of labs and, sessions basically. And Dr. Al, I'm thinking that should be maybe what we do in one of the next trainings that we have coming up.
Cool.
Possibly.
I like it.
So
I like it.
Let's keep on track here though. And let's talk about, how do you go about accessing this lab testing as an FDN practitioner? And we wanted to cover this because a lot of you go through the course and it's so heavy on information. You're so focused on learning about the lab testing and learning how to do the protocols and, doing mock clients and working with the mentors and being a part of the community, that you get out and then you forget, how do I order lab testing? And it's kind of like we're putting the pieces of the puzzle together here. And for those of you who aren't FDN practitioners, this is how we go about doing it. So we have established a medical director program, which is very unique to FDN. It's probably one of the only, if not the only, courses out there that actually gives health coaches access to lab testing legally and ethically. And the medical director program is how we do that. So in our student portal, when you need to order tests for clients, you're going to log in there. You go to the MDP program area, menu area, and from there you're going to see all the lab tests that we have available to us. And as FDNs, we have over 60 lab tests. And I know actually right now, Dr. Al, that Brandy and Reed are doing research and development on adding even more tests to the menu, which is amazing. And, so we go in here, we order which tests that we want. Those tests get shipped directly to the clients to complete them in the comfort of their own home. Most of the testing that we do is saliva, urine, and stool based. There are some blood tests that we do, whether that's a blood draw or maybe a blood spot test, that will help us with food sensitivities, and they get the kits for those things too, to either have somebody come to their home and help them with that, or they can go into a lab and get that done. And then they send in their samples along with their payment to the lab. And then you as an FDN receive the test results, and you analyze the test results, looking for those correlations, assessing metabolic chaos, putting together your recommendations for diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, supplementation, and then you sit down with your client to review that information. Now, I also want to tell you here that, FDN is international. Like, we have access to lab tests all over the world. I'm here in San Diego. I have clients in Australia, the UK, and Canada, and FDN has partnerships with labs around the world to help us facilitate lab testing no matter where you are or where your clients are. And in this world today, like with the pandemic, as we're talking about, people are looking for this type of personalized solution, and they're taking a deeper look at their health than ever before, and they're reaching out to us, and we can really work with people all over the place, which is great. Because here's one of the things that I hear a lot in business mentoring, Dr. Al, is that people will say, well, I live in a very rural area. People locally don't have the money, or they aren't interested in lab testing. Like some of our, people in the Midwest, they say it hasn't really caught on here. Well, this is the great thing as FDNs, is that you're not limited to your local area, because we have this ability to work virtually and internationally. The possibilities for clients are essentially endless, and the medical director program helps you to facilitate that testing around the world.
Yeah, I wanted to say one thing about number 4. Client receives the test kits and pays the lab. This is really important, because when you have a client, like we said, clients expect someone to run labs to be able to objectively identify what their challenges are. But the fact that the client receives the kit, not you, they pay the lab, they don't pay you. You are not dealing with adding the charges for the test to your client program. They don't see you as the lab, and you don't want them to see you as the lab. What you do is offer your expertise on the lab test, but they pay the lab for that. So don't get confused. How can I order all those tests? Am I going to charge the client? No, they pay the lab. Just like if they get a blood draw in a lab anywhere in the country, what happens is they pay the lab. They don't pay the doctor. And one of the things, Jen, that lots of people are chiming in now, we have Kim Castle, Dana Nichols, Angela Wenninger, it looks like Caroline Powell, it looks like. Lots of people are chatting in now inside of social media, which is terrific.
Fantastic. All right, well, let's keep this moving so we can keep on time for you guys. And so we've gone over, why it's super important for you guys to be running labs, obviously, to meet clients' expectations and needs, to get all the clues to the puzzle, to assess metabolic chaos, how you can go about accessing the lab testing. And then let's talk about how this all relates to getting, results faster, better, and easier, and how this continues to meet the client's expectations as well, and why it's also going to be fulfilling work for you. So, one of the things that we want to do when we work with clients is we want to shift their belief systems. And why do we want to shift their belief system? Because when we shift their belief system, they will absolutely get better and they will become your best referrers. For any of you guys who follow me on social media, you see the social media presence that I have. I have a website, but when I started my business, I didn't have any of those things. All of my business was started as word of mouth referral. And even now, with that online presence, my business is still 95% word of mouth referral because of the unique work that we do, because of the lab testing that we're doing, and because I'm helping clients change their belief system and basically like take back control of their health. So we use the data from the lab testing, like having that objective data helps us to shift their belief system. It teaches them about metabolic chaos, which is essentially a new way of looking at disease. They now understand that they have a functional problem, and they also are given hope and motivation and can see that it's possible to resolve metabolic chaos and build health and actually feel better. And we can share stories of all the clients that either us ourselves or within the community that have achieved results doing this at the same time. And I can tell you, like, every single time I do lab testing with a new client, their response is always how, it's something to the effect of, oh my gosh, this is like Christmas getting, this information, or, oh my God, this is providing me with all the answers that I've been looking for. Or I've had clients even say, oh my gosh, I totally thought this is what was going on, but nobody would run these tests for me. And so, we're basically like providing them with information that is extremely motivational. It helps them to be more compliant. And when they're more compliant, they get better results faster and easier. And then our work becomes even more fulfilling. Plus, it feels like a gift to be able to give this gift of testing to our clients as well. It's all around a feel-good type of experience for both us as the health coaches or professionals and them as the client. And it's such a unique way of approaching it. Like, clients will say, gosh, nobody has ever looked at my health in this kind of way. And then they start to understand their bodies better and they know how to move forward. Like I said earlier, we educate, we don't medicate.
I want to say one thing about changing their belief system, because most people that come to you, they have a major complaint or a major symptom. And I know you're going to talk about that in a minute, how you pull that out of them. But what I want you to everyone to realize is when they come to you, they have they believe that you're going to do something that's going to take away that symptom. And in reality, that expectation is really the wrong expectation for them to have, because they're then believing that you're going to do for them what they need to be done. But that fails in every type of practitioner's office. What you really want to do is make the client understand that, number one, the only people that have any kind of health challenge are people that are not functioning as they should be. So the problems that they're dealing with is not a symptom problem, it is a functional problem. It's why we're called functional diagnostic nutrition. We want the client's belief system to be, if you can help them get more functional, they're going to get better. When they have that belief system, all of a sudden they listen to everything that you tell them. Any objections they have to starting working with you goes out the window, and they become great referral sources. And Jen, I hate to put you on the spot, but I always want you to tell people what your clients pay you for your service and where you started that.
Mm-hmm. So right now I have 3 different packages. And this is something, again, that as a business mentor that I teach the FDNs how to do once they go through the course, is create 2 to 3 standard package offerings. So my smallest package goes for $2,000 and my largest package is $7,500. So people are willing to pay, for these services that we have to offer because they are so unique and they're ready for these personalized options as well. But just to give you some perspective for some of you that are sitting there on the line going, oh my God, I could not even imagine asking for that much money, which we want to work through some of those money mindset things, which we do once you get through the course. But B, I've been in practice for a while and obviously have built up some of the confidence to be able to charge that much. And so just to give you some perspective, that smaller package, when I first started, I was charging $550 for it. And now I charge $2,000. So it's quadrupled over time. And you'll get there too. So one of the things that we teach you is to, choose prices and package rates that feel comfortable for you based on where you are. And then over time, as you accumulate more experience and more confidence, then you gradually will raise your prices and be at that same level. And, there's FDNs that are charging more than I do, that are charging even like $10,000 or upwards for their services. So this just is to show you that it is very possible to make a good living doing what you love. And I'll tell you that my first year, when I decided to become a full-time FDN, I went out and I made $60,000 that first year. Now, granted, this was 6 years ago. So we've had inflation since then. So I don't know what $60,000 would equate to today, but then
2 million.
I doubled my income the next year after that and was closer to $120,000. Then it went up to $100,000 overall. So it's very possible to make a very good living doing what you love in this world. So let's talk about the next stages of how do we go about getting clients. And I wanted to share with you the top 5 pre-consultation questions that we should be asking every single client that's coming through our door.
And you use these. I want people to realize these are questions you use.
Exactly. So these are the questions that I specifically use. Some of these are questions that are also taught in the FDN training as well, because there's some business modules and training in the FDN course. But first of all, we want to understand what the client's main health complaint is so that we can start to assess, form an impression about their metabolic chaos. How often does it bother them? How long has it been going on for? So we can start to make some of these correlations and see that bigger picture of them. And then we also want to start to assess kind of their mindset and where they are with things. So we want to ask them, what or who would prevent you from completing a health rebuilding or weight loss program? And this is a big question here. This actually will help you to overcome objections when you're in the consultation with them. They might say money or time or themselves or maybe a partner. And then the 5th question here is, if we were to work together, what would you expect to achieve from working with me? So again, understanding what their expectations and needs are. When we are, looking at potential clients, we want to be interviewing them just as much as they are interviewing us to see if we are a right fit to work together. And so these 5 questions are extremely important for us to be able to understand if somebody is a right fit for us or not. And these are just 5 of the top pre-consult questions that I ask everybody. I have a full list of questions that you can see if you go to my website here, holistichealthboss.com/discovery-call. You can see the full list of questions that I ask there to assess if somebody is ready. But these are definitely some of the most important ones that are on the list.
Yeah, one of the things that make the questions so important is, and you have to get sort of the context, you're asking them about them. You're not telling them about you. And to be perfectly honest, they don't care about you. They care about them and if you could help them. So you're really setting the stage and building in a pre-consult a relationship from square one that says, I'm interested in you. I'm interested in what your problem is, and I'm interested in helping you. That is a very important fact because some health coaches go in there telling them how marvelous you are. They don't care how marvelous you are. They only care about one thing. Can you help me? I'm the person that's the most important person here.
Mm-hmm. Great. And I just want to address, I see some questions coming in, and to be mindful of time, as we said earlier, we're not answering any questions while we're on the webinar today. So if you have questions, we've put in the chat here on GoToWebinar where you can submit those questions and get more information. So check that out. If you're on Facebook or YouTube with us as well, if you have questions, go ahead and put your comments in. We'll give you information on how you can connect with us to get those questions answered. For all of the aspiring health professionals or health coaches out there, you'll be able to schedule a free career counseling session with one of our course advisors. And for any of our current students or graduates, you can send your questions to our support team with FDN. So let's move on to the 3 stages of consultation. So we've done this pre-consultation screening. Now we get somebody into a consultation, and this is broken up into 3 different stages in order to help us build value in what it is that we have to offer. So this is how we build value in the investment that somebody is going to make in us, which is really an investment in themselves. Stage 1 is all about building rapport while forming an impression. So this is where we kind of do like information gathering, get an overall like health history of what's been going on with somebody, making them feel heard. A lot of them come to us feeling like nobody is listening to what it is that they are saying. So this stage is really important. That's why I said it's a building rapport. We want them to feel heard, and we want to hear that information to help us form our impression about metabolic chaos and what's going on with them. Then we move into stage 2, which is all about identifying the intrinsic motivations and desires, which will help us to also overcome objections maybe at the end of the conversation when we're presenting our offer and they say that they have to think about it or it's money. Like, we can go back to them and say, but you said that you wanted these things and it was really important to you. So, what really is standing in the way, essentially. And this is all about, this is where I teach some transformational coaching techniques and the business mentoring stuff that I do. Is basically, it's getting to the deeper level why. Like, people will come to us and say, well, I want more energy. I want, to lose weight. I want to reverse my autoimmune condition. But that's on the surface level. We need to ask them, well, why do you want that? What would having that do for you? How would it change their life? And get to that deeper level of the freedom or the happiness that it would give them, that they would be able to live just a more fulfilling life. Like, that's what's really important. And that's how we draw that value piece in. And then stage 3 is about mirroring and making an irresistible solution-oriented offer. So this is where we go back and say, okay, Jane, I can see here from your history, like you shared this, and this with me, like this is how it relates to metabolic chaos. To best assess these things, these are the lab tests that we should, I would recommend that we run to look at all the clues and the pieces of the puzzle. Here's what I would do with that information and working with you. How does that sound? And then they're like, yes, that sounds amazing. That's exactly what I've been looking for. And then we go in and say, okay, when I work with clients, here's how we can work together. And we present our packages after we've built that value. And for all of our FDNs that are on the line, as part of I hope you guys are a part of our AFDNP group, which is our Association of FDN Professionals. And in there, I've done a couple of webinar trainings about this. Like, there's actually a specific webinar training just on consultations alone, where you can get a script for consultations and how I do this exactly to help you guys. So these are the kinds of, resources and tools that are built in to the FDN community for all of you to access as an FDN to help you do this stuff. Dr. Ali, I'm sure that, this is kind of how you've seen consultations done, or you've done them yourself as well too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been, working with clients, patients for over 30 years. But the real key here is, and Jen mentioned it numerous times on this slide, when you share the value that you're going to bring to the client, that is the key to overcoming objections. If they don't get the value, the first objection you get is a money objection. Money objections are really only about, I don't think what you're telling me is going to be worth what you want to charge me. So when Jen says you identify intrinsic motivation and desires, setting up that value, making that irresistible solution-oriented offer, you've already established the value. So the next step is, okay, what do we do next?
Mm-hmm. And we could get down a whole rabbit hole of money objections that we just don't have time for today. But that also goes back to, if those are the type of people that you're attracting, there's something that's out of alignment with your core marketing message that's attracting that type of person. And whatever we're attracting is a reflection of us. So that might mean that there's some money mindset stuff for you to work on and boosting your confidence in that area. That, again, maybe that's something we'll do in a future training, but we're going to keep moving on for today. So once we go through these 3 stages of consultations, then we enroll the client if they're the right person for us. And now we need to deliver on the service. And as I like to say, exceptional service sells itself, and it results in effortless referrals. If we are creating an amazing, Ritz-Carlton first-class experience for clients, they are obviously going to refer people to us. So I say that there's 4 E's of exceptional service. The first E is enrollment. We want to make sure that enrollment feels easy. It feels secure when we do their payment collection. It's easy for them to follow. E number 2 is expectations. Making sure that we're setting clear expectations and giving clear instructions for how the client can be compliant and follow through with the next steps. E number 3 is execution, making sure that we are organized and detailed for the client and for you, because this will give you the confidence in where it is that you're going with them and help them to get those results. And then E number 4 is engagement. How do we engage them throughout the process of the program to help them be compliant and, again, to get those results? So this is things like emails, tasks, action items that encourage that follow through. So let's actually break this down into a little bit more detail for you and talk about E number 1 and 2 essentially here is, the enrollment and expectations part. So the first stage is actually, or the first pieces of this start with a consultation, right? Is making sure that the consultation is even easy for them to schedule with you and show up to be with you. Then we go through that process of doing the consultation like we talked about. We get a yes for them to enroll. We are collecting payment here. Once they enroll, we're sending them welcome and instructions email with very clear steps on how they can participate in the program and what they need to do next. We get them to sign the program agreement so that they're, again, clear of all the expectations about participating in this program. And number 5 here is something that's a little personal touch that I like to do, which is a welcome gift. And you can actually see my welcome gift pictured here. And this really solidifies, it helps them to solidify that they made the right decision in investing with you. When they're, investing in a high-end program or package, paying $7,500, investing in your health is the most vulnerable investment somebody will ever make. It's the most emotional decision somebody will ever make as well too. We want them to feel comfortable in that. And so I always send them a little personalized welcome gift with some of my favorite things, protein bar samples, electrolytes, a probiotic, things that will also help them along their journey as we work together. And plus, these are things that I also affiliate for. So if they like these things, they will come back and purchase more of them, which helps to, build some of that passive income in our business that we're all looking for. And who doesn't like a gift, right, Dr. Al?
Hey, listen, I'm down for the gift. Every time you say gift, I put the sound effects in social media of people clapping. You can't hear it, but they could hear it.
Nice. So, and they love this little surprise. It's reassuring to them that they made the right decision in investing in you, which is ultimately investing in themselves. So then once we get them to enroll, we set those expectations. Now we have to execute on the service that we just sold them. So this is, in this area, the steps are like shipping out the test kits, confirming that they receive their test kits and their intake forms to complete, sending them compliance emails to make sure that they are complying with completing those items, tracking what's being completed, confirming that all the stuff has been completed. And once all the lab tests and the intake forms are completed, then we sit down and we analyze the results. We put together our protocol for diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, and supplementation. Then once that's done, we book the results review session with them and we send them reminder emails if they don't do that. Then we complete that results review session, we log our notes, and now we start to follow through with the things that happen in the ongoing coaching that we're doing. We're sending them information about how to order their supplements, we're booking the next session with them, and then we're tracking their sessions and helping them to move through the program. And all along the way, as we are doing this and as we're working with them like this in this fashion, we're helping them to get those results faster, better, and easier, because we're helping them to coach up the vital reserve that their body already has through diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, supplementation, supplementation, which is ultimately coaching down the contributors to metabolic chaos, those known stressors or those hidden stressors that we saw, on the lab test that are contributing to that metabolic chaos ultimately.
I just want to say one thing about the previous slide. You don't have to go to that slide, but in those list of things, notice when it says order the tests, it was a plural. Don't order one test, do what you're supposed to do.
Exactly. So, and as I kind of alluded to already, part of what helps you to nail this, to understand this, to get your workflow, your system down, to know how to run your business is that we have a great post-grad alumni group. As I said, I offer continuing education and trainings on the business stuff, like how to do consultations and those types of things in there. We offer regular, like strictly business webinars or different types of webinars, like our detective hour in that group. As an FDN practitioner, as a graduate, there's all kinds of other perks and benefits like wholesale products accounts for supplements, the lab accounts or access to lab testing, discounts on insurance for you that you need for your business. We also have a huge community to connect with FDNs all around the world that help you to feel, as a part of something. So you're not just like out doing this on your own. And as I mentioned earlier too, FDN is always doing research and development, looking for the new, latest and greatest cutting edge lab testing supplements, things that are coming out because this industry is evolving all the time that are going to help you to do your job better and work with clients. And all of this.
The only thing, I'm sorry. Good. No, finish what you were saying, then I'll say what I want to say.
To say, like, all of this enhances your credibility, which I'm going to tell you a little bit more about too here in just a second. So go ahead and add your comments, Dr. Al.
Yeah, I just wanted everyone, because mostly everyone here is an FDN practitioner or in the training right now, realize that these things are the support that we offer you. And for some reason, a lot of times, a lot of FDNers think they have to be at a certain level of expertise to participate. No, you want to plug into all the things that FDN offers you. That's how you get to that level of expertise. You don't start out being the best FDNer in the world like Jen. You have to go through the process. And these are support things that you want to make sure that you take advantage of.
Mm-hmm. So it should be obvious by now, like the level of credibility that lab testing provides for you, because you have these unique access to these unique tools that nobody else really has access to. And as we said before, sure, a lot of people can run lab tests these days, but not everybody knows what to do with them, which is one of the big FDN differences. But there's other ways to enhance your credibility too. As an FDN practitioner, you are eligible to sit for not just one, but multiple board certifications with these different establishments in the health coaching and health professional industry. And we're seeing this, the health coaching industry evolve in this kind of way where now, board certification may become a requirement down the road. It is not currently a requirement, but it's something good to pursue anyways, because you're eligible to do it as an FDN. So here are some of the organizations that we are affiliated with, that we are approved for board certifications with. Also, if you are coming to us with previous training with maybe the Czech Institute or Nutritional Therapy Association or NANP, being an FDN or doing the FDN training also qualifies you for CEUs with some of these other organizations, and even other organizations outside of this. A lot of people, that are acupuncturists or massage therapists or even naturopaths have submitted their FDN training coursework for, continuing education credits as well. So as we start to wrap up here, the message that we are leaving you with is, so how simple is it to start or grow? It's really simple. As we just shown you, you already have a proven system that the top functional health professionals, us FDNs, are using to unravel metabolic chaos. And I say the top health professionals because I can tell you guys from experience, so many clients have come through, again, my virtual practice door and looking for solutions that they couldn't get anywhere else. And I'll just, tell you about two clients here really quickly. Is that one client that I'm currently working with right now, she came to me after going to the Cleveland Clinic, being treated for SIBO 3 times without really getting any results. Like she kept having this reoccurrence of SIBO. Her main complaints were weight loss or were weight gain and all this bloating that she was having. And in our work together, she has lost 20 pounds. She's down to her college weight and she has zero bloating, so I say that, I'm one of the top health professionals in the world because I was able to solve something for her that's the Cleveland Clinic couldn't solve for her. And another client that I've had work with me, she came to me at the age of 59, struggling with muscular sclerosis, MS, brain fog so bad that her daughter had to sit in on the consultation with us because she couldn't even really follow a conversation or put pieces of the puzzle together to explain what was going on to me. So her daughter sat in that consultation. She had tried every different type of trial drug or therapy out there to help her. Nothing had helped. And so we did our work together. We reversed the majority of her MS symptoms. She was able to come off multiple medications. She's able to sleep through the night. And at the age of 60, she is now one of the top real estate agents in the company that she works for and running around with her 5-year-old grandson, which she wasn't able to do before. So we are some of the top health professionals out there. And what allows us to do this is having this science-based system behind us, running the right lab tests. And again, that series of lab tests, not just one, creating these individual personalized protocols, solving metabolic chaos, which allows us to really be the last person that somebody needs to see. And as we've been talking about, this allows you to feel amazing doing your best work while helping clients to perform at their best and feel their best too. So those are the key takeaways that we have for you today on why, functional lab testing is so important and how health coaches, can be using it in their practice. So with that, we're going to end here, you guys. As we've been saying, if you have any questions, if you are a current graduate or student and you have questions about the information that we've shared, like how to go about accessing or ordering lab testing, make sure that you contact our FDN support team at support@afdnp or log into the student portal, fdnconnect.com. And all this information that we covered today is basically in there for you. For those of you who are aspiring.
Oh, we lost your audio a little bit there, Jen. I don't know if you heard me. Could you say that again? Oh, no, I'm not sure if that's on your end or what. There you go. You just came back. You just came back, whatever you did. Cool.
Great. So for anybody who's a current student or graduate, as I was saying, you can access resource or submit questions to support@afdnp.com or log into our student portal where all of this information lives, fdnconnect.com. And for any of you who are aspiring health professionals, already health coaches, or wanting to get into health coaching, if you have more questions or interested in learning more about what it is that we do as FDNs, we would love to invite you to schedule a free career counseling session. You can go to fdn.today/career or email fdninfo@afdnp.com. That information is up here on the screen for you. If you're on GoToWebinar, that information is in the chat for you to click on or grab. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, if you comment in the video, we will make sure that we get you that information as well. And I think Dr. Al included that in the comments already also. And today was our last training, you guys. So thank you so much for joining us.
I just want to say one thing, Jen, before everyone leaves, and I want to thank all the people that commented on social media. That was great, and congratulate some of the people who said in the chat on social media in the comments that they either are starting the course or they're actually waiting to take their final test, which I thought was so cool. But one other thing I want to say is everyone that is here will get a link to a survey, and I want to make sure that and I put it inside the YouTube and Facebook and also into the video. Make sure you fill out that survey. It tells us, number one, that we're hitting the right topics for you to help you grow your business. And if there are other things you want us to cover, as Jen said, that's a great topic. We might want to do some of the things that she mentioned today. But please complete the survey. It's really for you more than for us, so that we can bring all these important things to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I did see we had some survey respondents the other day, so you guys are submitting some great suggestions on new topics. to run and everything. So yeah, that's really helpful for us, you guys. So
Okay,
great.
another great week, Jen.
Yeah, wraps it up. Everybody have a great rest of your weekend, and we will let you know about upcoming trainings.
Bye-bye, everybody.